Hey everyone, welcome to another Monday Night Podcast.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, best part about Monday. So we are here tonight to talk about our views and opinions on the power of a name. This correlates with a lot of different things, including magic and personal bonds with other people. So then, kind of to start it off, one of the main things that we do in this kindred is we give each other names. Might have said it before in a video, but to
we've definitely said it before.
Yeah, to expand on it a bit though, I get a list from the kindred members for words that describe them, feelings, just whatever they really want to jot down.
Then sets it on fire and throws it in the trash.
I use that as a guideline with me already knowing them to then make up their name through Old Norse words. Asavordthur, Hrasligarskeg, and Hreitmunu. These names all embody power to us because through meditation and ceremony with sage and just that togetherness, that's how I kind of make the name and we all kind of find ourselves, I would say. Yeah. Our older self, I'd like to think. That part of us that our ancestors are just waiting to pop back out.
I remember specifically after my naming ceremony, we were driving back. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then I went off on a completely different tangent, and we were talking about an anxiety attack I had. And I was like, whoa. It hit the nail on the head once I actually thought about it. But anyways, because my name means Will of the Storm. And it's almost like there's constantly a storm brewing within me. Or I create storms and shit like that. And it's just like, hit the nail on the head.
Yep. And I don't even mean that just by chaos. When I thought of her name, I thought of how much passion and drive constantly wells up inside of her to the point where it gives her an anxiety attack. Because
or a screaming match at my fellow kindred mates.
Mates?
Kindred mates.
We argue...
Did you want me to say just kindred members?
I think it was more of a...
We know,
you two.
Yeah, because we're fiery souls who don't who constantly keep each other. Let's just say lit.
Yeah, we're lit.
Yeah.
I may have been drinking tonight.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Woo!
Skål.
Finish it.
I don't want to. I'm out of wine. I have to pace this cup.
Yeah.
My beard got some of that.
Ooh.
Then with mine, I was given my name by Roman, Asavordthur, God's Watcher. I've given pretty much everyone else in the kindred their name. Roman did our Batman's name.
Little
Acorn. Batman.
The acorn.
Yes, little acorn. And we use those for each. Like, it's one of those kind of things. Like, we don't always say them to each other, but if we were in a crowded room and we needed to get each other's attention, just say that name and it happens.
In fact, we've actually done that when we went to the... If you've watched our How to Build a Bay video, while we were building everything and going through the antique mall, I'd occasionally just hear, Hreitmunu! I'd be like, what? Where are you? What do you need?
Yeah, there's only so many people that know that name, so if you hear it, it's you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of, we went to a restaurant before, and there was somebody at a table next to us named Allie and Brian. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is so weird. So we started going by Hreitmunu and Hrasligarskeg for like the rest of the meal.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with these names have always held power in magical societies. A lot of people were always terrified of speaking your name on a battlefield. For when you killed the enemy soldier, when he died, on his last breath, if he cursed you, that's an extremely powerful magic. That is the only way to do death magic. Because you only die once, hopefully.
And he can't break that curse because he dead.
Exactly. So, with that kind of a power, you wanted to be careful with who you gave your name to. So you would have like a nickname, Eric the Red. His full name was something else, but everyone just called him Eric the Red. It was much easier for someone than because it was more of like a personification of who you really were. Oh, he's a great warrior. He got a massive red beard, so that's Eric the Red. Don't mess with that guy. But if you knew his full name, then yes, you could be like, oh, well, I curse you. And our kindred kind of has knowledge of knowing that curses work.
Yes.
You don't mess with that stuff unless it's necessary for the time. So with these names, the reason we don't try to give them out to people who we are obviously in dislike with is because we don't want them to have that kind of power. Now, when we say it over like a video and stuff like that, the main reason for that is this is a sharing thing. This is an informational thing. We want you to understand that you're, in a way, you're all associate members. It kind of think about it, because you're a part of this family with us, and you're taking this ride with us, and we're happy that you're here. So we put more faith in the YouTube channel and people following us to not have these kind of bad ideas and to come to us if they have issues, like in the real world.
Don't curse us,
because it won't work.
Besides, you got to figure out how to spell it, and we're not giving that away.
Not to mention pronounce it like off the bat.
Yeah. And honestly, at this point, I think to have an effective curse, they would need our birth names, and
yes.
I don't. For this reason, I don't give it out because there is that kind of power in the name. When I was
doing... so many of them out there. It's hard to tell which one's the real one.
Right?
I'm a curse Chris. Oh, well, you got like 85% of America fucked right there.
Whereas my name is less common, and I just go by Allie because watching people guess what it's short for is actually really amusing, unless I want to be mad, in which case it's very angering and it's a good time for everybody.
Allison, Alicia, Ali.
Alyssa.
Yeah. There's a lot of, because modern day names aren't unique, really.
No. So it's just, I had an ex once who only went by his middle name when it was people he didn't know, because there was power in a name, and he didn't want to accidentally run into a witch or something and she'd be able to curse him. But no, he literally wouldn't give his real name to people, and when he explained it to me, it's because he didn't want somebody to be able to curse him or wreak havoc on his life. That's when I started going by Alex, because I was like, dang, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have that risk. Now when people call me by my real name, I'm like, who are you and what do you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like our Christian given names, those just feel almost more like, I guess, titles rather than who you are. Like right. when I was given my name, almost instantly it felt like yeah, that's exactly who I am. Mm-hmm. It's the name that I should have been called from birthday one.
Right.
But
and it bonds us.
Yes.
And that's one of the powers that really shines in this kind of community ritual. Really, it is. It makes us all so much more knotted and just tied together. It helps us all to really feel that kin part of this.
Yeah.
And that's what we really want. And it helps to have those little pet name, nickname. Like when you have a brother or sister that you spend a lot of time with, you will always kind of eventually come up with a nickname for them. It's just how it works. It's in term of endearment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I love the like our names, because you see it a lot in a lot of different kindreds, especially the more you delve into the community, you'll see different kindreds have their own unique ways of identifying each other.
No, they don't.
Oh,
they're all the same.
Yeah.
A
lot of them use animals,
or they use Viking names.
Right, and
so the amount of Ragnars I've met is ridiculous.
Or the amount of wolves and bulls
and bears and lions. Oh my!
By the way, if you want to call yourself Ragnar Lothbrok, your name is Ragnar Hairy Pants. There's no real proof of the man being in places. He just had a great saga, and it's a great read.
And he wore very furry pants.
Very furry. Some breeches made of pure cow, apparently.
Awesome.
But yeah, names even back then, they did have meaning. They had a bit of power to them. Again, Eric the Red, Ragnar Lothbrok. Lothbrok was more than likely not his last name.
Right.
Because no one's gonna. The family name ain't gonna be Hairy Pants.
Harold Bluetooth, Eric
Yes.
Finehair.
Exactly. And it's just because it gives you this, like you said, like a title. It makes it like, oh, that's just who he is. But your real name, that is your essence. Mm-hmm. That is the soul inside of you. And through the ritual, I do my best to reach in, pull that out, and put it on display for the kindred. So that we all have the ability to really mesh better.
And like Mike put on his interview, it is onto us how many people we want to know our names.
Yeah.
Because once he got his name, he plastered it everywhere.
Oh, Facebook.
Tagging him in things now is next to impossible because sometimes I forget he's Yokelbjorg.
Yeah.
I'll start typing in Mike, and I'm like,
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
and then I have to start over, and I don't want to put that much time into tagging him.
Even
on
insofar
something.
as he gives up a last name.
Yeah. Because then it's, okay, did he put Skazi's son as a TH? Did he do it as a D?
Yeah.
Like, what did he do?
Yeah, DI. And that's one of the things that comes with the power of a name is spelling it, knowing the meaning behind it,
Yep.
being there. You might know our names, but that doesn't give you the power over them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like our defensive wall. Once you get to know us, when you're in this kindred, if someone in this kindred was to ever, for whatever forsaken reason, want to just curse us, they'd have a lot more ammo. We'd have a lot more on them. Just saying that. But yes, it's not just the name, it's also the relationship you have with the person of said name.
Yeah.
But the name does have power. When you give your essence and allow someone else to see that, that's when cursing becomes much more powerful. I have personally seen marriages completely disrupted. Businesses fall just because of, I don't regret it, but things that happened that I then took action into my own hands.
Now, I do want to touch on the fact that we have a unique naming system. Shut up, Rum.
I'm not the unit.
Anyways, we have a unique naming system where in which we are using Old Norse.
Mhm.
Most people like to use animals or Viking names. Now, when you do that, yeah, you may be kind of wolfish. You may be kind of like, what's another one? I can't think.
An Orok.
Bear.
You may be a bear. You may be an Orok. You may be these things. Kind
Orok
of.
is a steer, by the way.
You, you might be a Bjorn.
Yeah.
Because
You might be an
there's
Eric.
not enough of those out there.
You might take on this name, but in no way does that actually describe who you are. If you think about it, you're just taking an animal and being like, well, I like the attributes of a wolf, and I'm a lone wolf, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the name wolf.
Am I not wolfy enough for the wolf club?
Exactly.
Woof, woof.
And, and even if somebody else gives you that name, that still doesn't describe who you are as, in essence. Now, I mean, one of our people, we've called him, what, Lone Wolf? Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's different.
Wolf Duger.
Yeah.
Wolf's ability, because that's who he is. He's very good at being alone. He's super industrial, and he has what, like 5 different businesses he started now.
Always.
Right.
But we don't look at him as an individual, like a wolf.
Yes.
We see him as a man. He can do wolfy things. He has wolfy aspects, but he is not a wolf. He's a freaking human.
He could survive on his own in the middle of the woods.
In winter.
Fine.
But he doesn't drop down to 4 legs and sprout a tail and fur and...
Right.
I
So
have not seen him on a full moon, though.
this is true.
We've never seen him on a full moon night.
While we don't completely knock the use of animal names, because I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with those. And
Well, yeah, especially those.
but
based around
I've got Native American, and
Yes.
I'm just sitting over here like anytime I see somebody with a name, I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? You're calling yourself a hawk?
Right, and most Native Americans, they give us the white version of their name. They have the Navajo or the.
I haven't even told you guys the white version of my name.
Well, yeah, but they have like the actual language of the tribe they come from
Yeah.
name.
Right, that
That's-
gets translated to running hawk.
Exactly.
Or flying squirrel.
Right, sits with buffaloes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like with ours. We don't just take English and make it Norse. We literally take the Old Norse word and then combine it in a way that makes sense to make a name.
Yep. And so that's something that if you're looking into making a name, maybe considering for yourself, because I hate to say it, but if you're using animal names or you're just taking old like Viking names,
Rollo, especially if you've seen it on the History Channel lately.
yeah, then more or less all you're doing is you're being a stereotype. You are just perpetuating the brositude
Don't
Yeah.
be a
like
bro.
thing, and If you haven't watched our video on Azatrues, the different types, then you won't understand our disdain for the Brezatru. But if you haven't, you should go watch that so you have context.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of power in these older religions. From name, from birth to death, to big life events like marriage and divorce. Those situations set up because of all the emotion and the gathering of so many people to have higher amounts of magic in them. So that's why when we do the naming ceremony, we're all together around a fire or in a beautiful wooded area, completely encased with stone around us.
Honestly, I feel like our naming ceremonies are specific to each person because I didn't want to wait to have a huge gathering.
Right.
I wanted my name right then.
Yeah, so it was just me and her at in some woods by a lake.
And we did one of my favorite things, and I love hiking, so we
Yep.
did hiking into this area, and we fought with nature for a hot minute and went about our way. But everybody else's, we either have a ceremony in the living room with just some sage, or we do it around a big bonfire. It's, I think, very much specific to each person's essence.
Yes. And that is, again, because I want... It's a moment of connection. Like when me and Allie did her name, we had been friends beforehand, but then afterwards, that's when we really became family.
Yeah, I mean, in that technical sense.
Right. That's where, like, now, like, yeah, we might have our spats, but we are always able to talk about it.
Well, yeah, but we have a deal, and that's what causes the spats.
Yeah.
I tell him when he's being an asshole. He tells me when I've got my head stuck up my ass.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And that power of the name leads into things like that. Because now we have that connection. Where at any moment, she has the ability just to look at me and say something that at that exact second, my brain's going to be like, bitch, what? But then I'm going to be like, yes, right?
But even on that note, because it's not just me and Chris. It was last Saturday? No, it was a couple Saturdays ago. I sat in this living room and had a screaming match with you for like 2 solid hours.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
I don't even remember what that was over.
Because
Mental
it's not
illness.
right. That's
Mental illness.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's the
a good
beauty of
time.
it. That power between us all now has led to this bond. Like I keep saying and, showing, blah, blah, blah. We're tied together. This is stronger than any fucking argument. Words are powerful, as this whole podcast is kind of about, but it's the power you put behind them.
I will also note that we all have a very quick conflict resolution thing. So we'll have the screaming match, and then we're like, love you, cool, and we move on. It's no big deal.
That's something
Not
that,
everybody is like that, so please don't take this as a, hey, if you give each other names, you're going to be fine. Because you
Right.
probably won't if you're
Takes a
having
lot of work.
issues.
It takes a lot of work, but it's so helpful to be like that because it goes back into the Havamal and so many of the other ways that our ancestors worked out. If you're in a tiny village of 17 people and you hate one of those people, you've lost out on a cow because you're a chicken farmer, or you've lost out on good fish because you're not a fisherman. You can't do that. You need the entire group. You have to all be able to understand that there are differences, especially such things as like politics or views on mental illness or stuff like that. We're not all the same people. No village of our ancestors, no town, no 3 blocks you will ever find, maybe except for like the IHOP buildings, an exact same print and repeat of human thought pattern.
Yeah. Now, in all fairness, Brian and I were arguing the same point in different words. We were arguing in a circle
That happens.
over the same point.
Yeah.
It was great.
Alcohol was involved, that's why I didn't.
Only on
realize
his
it.
part. Ways to bring it back into the power of the names. Basically, there's good power and there's bad power.
Yeah.
So knowing someone's full name and a name that resonates with their soul can give you negative power, because then you can sit there and be like, well, I curse you and this is what I'm going to do to you, and the spell isn't going to get confused because it knows exactly where it's going because there's no one else with this combination of names. However, it also gives you good power because when it's a group like this and we all know everything, it just bonds us even closer together, and we really are becoming more and more like one single unit. Chris and Roman said in a different video, and I said, They had a thought prior to meeting me, and I had a thought after meeting them, but we've never discussed that theory, and we came to the same conclusions because I was sitting there like, dude, what about this theory? And I texted them, and they're like, yeah, we thought about that like 2 years ago. And I was like, oh. And then we discussed it, and then we're like, maybe we should make a podcast about it someday. And we're like, yeah.
So, to kind of round this out, a way to make this a bit more modern for people to understand, power of a name. Think of dead naming, and how some people can get devastated by that. The power of you just speaking words can completely wreck some people. Mm-hmm. Other people don't get the flying shit. Some people literally can't handle it. There is power in our words because that's why we speak. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have the power of speech, it'd be probably a lot less fighting. But we do.
I don't know about that.
We can make that a whole nother video.
There'd be a lot less verbal fighting,
Well,
a lot
yeah.
more physical fighting.
Yeah.
You looked at me wrong.
Yeah. So, in a way, so to wrap it up, yes, words have power, but it is the intent and how well you know the person that your words can affect them.
Yes.
You can look at us all you want through your computer screen and tell us we're wrong, but it's not going to change us one bit. So, on that lovely note,
Please feel free to
Yes.
comment and discuss this video with us.
like it, dislike it, do whatever you feel you need to.
You do you, boo.
And not only that, but if you guys do want to develop names, somewhat like we did, you know, we talked about this earlier. You
Yeah.
know, if this is the path that you want to go on with how you do your names, reach out.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want help and guidance on it, hit any of us up. You know,
Facebook, Instagram, the YouTube, write in the comments.
Midgardswell@gmail.com.
Yes, email us personally. We are always here to listen. So, like we always like to say, and my favorite thing,
Thanks for drinking from the well.
I hate you.
No, don't push stop, don't push stop. We're redoing it.
I mean, we gotta leave that in, but
As always, please join us on Mondays at 5:45. And like, subscribe, share, comment. Stop playing with the lights, Roman. And as we always say at the end of every video, thank you for drinking from the well.